Welcome to Money Talks with Cathy Yang, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. In the headlines, the world markets brace as U.S. President Trump's Liberation Day nears on April 2nd. Here at home, investors and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas wait in bated breath for inflation figures on April 4th. Security Bank's Vice President, Research Head, and Chief Economist Angelo Taninco joins us live. Metro Pacific Tollways Corp blocks out its plans and priorities under new leadership. The road ahead, the newly appointed MPTC President and CEO Joey Lim. U.S. President Donald Trump downplays concerns of a potential rise in automobile prices due to his tariffs. In a phone interview with NBC News on Sunday, Trump said, quote, he couldn't care less if foreign automakers would raise their prices. He also denied reports that he instructed automakers to avoid increasing the price of their products. Trump imposed last week a 25% tariff on all vehicles assembled outside the U.S. The move comes as the world braces for, quote, Liberation Day on April 2nd, the day in which reciprocal tariffs will take effect. The White House is still debating how to move forward. Trump could either impose individualized tariff rates for U.S. trading partners or an across-the-board levy that will affect virtually every country doing business with America. Trump's tariffs are pulling South Korea, China, and Japan together, holding their first economic dialogue in 5 years. The trade ministers of the three countries agree to conduct comprehensive and high-level talks and a free trade agreement. The trilateral free trade deal has been on the table since 2012, but there is little progress because of territorial disputes and Japan's release of wastewater from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear plant. Their next meeting will take place in Japan. U.S. markets fell last Friday's session over worsening consumer sentiment. The Nasdaq led those losses, declining by over 2.5%. As you can see there, S&P 500 down by nearly 2%, and the Dow fell by about 1.7%. Investors reeling on the latest figures, but the University of Michigan showing consumer sentiment down to 57 in March from 65 in February as the outlook on the economy remained gloomier. As for the benchmark 10-year Treasury yields, they have inched lower to 4.25%. Gold prices have notched up by nearly 1% to $3,086.50 per troy ounce. Let's take a look at U.S. futures and see how they're pointing to a decline. As we can see the red arrows there as the markets open this Monday on Wall Street later tonight, Manila time. The Dow declines by nearly 0.5%, S&P 500 down by nearly 0.75%, and the Nasdaq falls by nearly 1.5%. And Asian markets are dropping this morning in the first hours of trade ahead of Trump's reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd. Japan's Nikkei 225 lower, leading those losses, declining by nearly 4%. Australia's ASX 200 down by nearly 1.5%, and the Kospi Index down by nearly 2.5%. Now, business sentiment in the country remains positive despite a dip in the first quarter of 2025, with confidence expected to recover. After falling to 31% because of lower post-holiday demand and inflation concerns, confidence bounced back to over 45% in the second quarter. Meanwhile, the outlook for the next 12 months remains strong, holding steady at 56%. Businesses expect a weaker peso, higher interest rates, and tighter credit conditions in the first half of the year. Despite these challenges, inflation expectations stay within the government's target of 2 to 4% for 2025 to 2026. Smart Communications expanding its AI capabilities through major partnerships announced at the Mobile World Congress 2025 in Barcelona. The company signed agreements with several tech giants to improve customer experience, streamline operations, and modernize its network. Smart says the GSMA deal will enable password-free logins, while the Amdocs partnership will deliver AI-driven personalized services. Meanwhile, Smart and Huawei will work together to strengthen network reliability and expand 5G capabilities. And with AWS, Smart will enhance data processing and predict customer needs through AI and machine learning. The conditional lowering of the initial public float to 15% could pave the way for the IPO of GCash. The Securities and Exchange Commission last week agreed to an initial public float of 15% for some companies, subject to strict criteria. With this, GCash, controlled by Globe Fintech Innovations, has the chance to enter into the market. Globe President and CEO Ernest Koo previously said the e-wallet's IPO would depend on how low the public float could be reduced. The SEC reiterated that the 20% minimum public offering requirement for the IPO-bound companies still stand to maintain the integrity of the capital market in the long run. But according to analysts, lowering that public float to 15% would entice larger companies to push through with their IPO plans. And today is the last day of Topline's offer period before its April 8th listing at the Philippine Stock Exchange. Topline is the first IPO to list at the PSE this year. The pure play fuel retailer is also Cebu's first IPO in 10 years. I spoke earlier to Topline boss Eric Lim, and he told me how he would compete in this industry.
So what's the value proposition for Topline to our customers and investors? So what we want to do is to basically give a new dimension of service to our stations, giving additional service in terms of really, really high kind of service, and at the same time, setting us apart in terms of other kinds of service pretty soon. So we're slowly innovating certain services soon, and we're quite excited to show that in the next few months.
But competition is also stiff when one takes a look at their technical chart. So let's have a look and see at Shell continuing to trend lower. Take a look at that, slipping below the pandemic low of 1480 in 2023. While the stock may be considered cheap in terms of per multiple, its general bias, at least in the short run, says Ron Acoba of Trading Edge, remains on the downside. Let's take a look at Petron and see how that's doing. The stock has revisited the bottom end of its 4-year trading range, as you can see here. And in the short run, Acoba sees Petron staging its rebound as it is now trading at the lap of its 4-year support. As for Phoenix Petroleum, it's been trending lower in the past 4 years, as you can see that. Before its trading was suspended in 2024, the company continues to miss paying dividends to its preferred shareholders. And common to all three is that they are all in a downtrend. In short, investor interest in the industry in general is not only lackluster, but also negative. So if one were to choose, says Acoba, Petron is in the best technical shape, given that it is presently sitting at a support. Take a quick check on the Philippine markets. The PSEI on the last trading day of the month opens slightly higher by about 0.1% at 6,149. The stock markets closed Friday's session gaining by 0.1%. Let's take a look at the Philippine peso and see how that's doing. It's slightly stronger at 57.35 to the dollar. Peso last Friday a tad weaker by 57.38. Well, with us now for more. We've got Angelo Taninco, the Vice President, Research Head, and Chief Economist of Financial Market Segment, Security Bank. Well, so good to see you, General. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Cathy.
So, what do you think? Pretty critical week. We do have that holiday on Tuesday, but April 2nd, we've got Liberation Day and Philippine inflation rate for April 4th. What do you think is going to move the markets?
Indeed, it's a pretty exciting week because of the risk events ahead. And more importantly, among investors globally, they will await for details surrounding the reciprocal tariffs that U.S. President Trump has proposed, as well as the effectivity of the U.S. auto tariffs, which would also have a bearing on many of the major trading partners of the U.S. And locally, we'll also see Philippine PMI that for the month of March, and we view the Philippine PMI as a leading indicator of economic growth. So we expect the PMI reading to remain close to 50, which if it's above 50, then it's an expansion mode, and we expect the Philippine GDP to continue its positive trajectory this year, and also including the first quarter. Furthermore, we'll see the March CPI inflation print. Our in-house forecast is 2%, and that is the lowest reading since September's 1.9%.
It is. Well, but I'm looking forward to that holiday tomorrow first.
Okay, yes, yes.
But then, yes, on April 2nd, we do have the PMI for the Philippines. The inflation print, 2%. You recently lowered that from a little bit higher, I believe. What convinced you to do so, though?
We continue to see rice prices on a downtrend, and that's because of the ongoing rice importation, as well as the injection of local rice supply coming from our National Food Authority. Furthermore, global rice prices have been on a declining trend, and that's good in terms of tempering rice inflation, which has the most important contribution to the food inflation overall. Other food prices, we may see some upticks on a month-on-month basis, such as fish or meat, vegetables and fruits. But we also saw the local petroleum prices, especially in the first 2 weeks of March, declining. And that's thanks to the global oil prices also subdued at that time. And lastly, we also saw the peso appreciation, which lowers import costs and therefore contributes to the disinflation of the Philippine prices.
So pwede pa mag-extra rice.
Yes.
Because it's the cheapest that we've ever had it. But what impact would that have on the Bangko Central's decision, though? Some are saying 25, others 50. There are some who say no move.
Right. We continue to expect the central bank to resume its monetary easing as early as April 10. So our view is for a baby step cut of 25 basis points. And this is because we still expect some sequential uptick on the consumer price inflation moving forward because of base effects. And secondly, the tariff effects coming from the US would have inflationary pressures as well globally that can spill over to importing countries such as the Philippines. And that is likely to manifest more in the second and third quarters of the year. So given that, I think a gradual 25 basis point cut would be more likely in the next monetary policy meeting.
And how do you think the markets would respond?
Well, I think the markets will respond favorably because that would be the start of the monetary easing cycle for the year. And aside from an April cut, we still expect another rate cut down the road because inflation continues to be within the target range of 2 to 4%. So with a manageable inflation environment and with growth headwinds being stronger, especially on the external front, then we continue to think that a monetary easing would be appropriate in terms of underpinning economic growth.
All right, I'll put you down for 25 bips on my list.
Yes.
It's a list that's got 3 columns in there.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cathy.
Jello Doninco of Security Bank joining us. You're watching Money Talks and One News. Coming right up, catch a conversation with Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation President and CEO Joey Lim. And In Life, recently handing out the first In Life Shiro's Awards. Catch those conversations after the break. Stay with us. All right, thank you. Of course, Joey, si Cathy, thank you so much for hanging in there. Joey, si Cathy, hope you can hear me. Oh, salamat. Yes, I can. live shot of traffic along the North Luzon Expressway, or NLEX, on peak rush on this Monday at a little past 9:30 in the morning. NLEX is the main artery of Metro Manila to Central and Northern Luzon, getting one to as far as Baguio or La Union at shorter travel times. Well, with us now for more is Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation President and CEO, Joey Lim. So good to see you, Joey. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Cathy, and thank you for having me this morning. Good morning to your viewers.
So first, the NLEX Marilao interchange following that road mishap. All 4 lanes now passable, as I understand, as of March 26th. What is the latest?
Well, we have repaired the bridge and traffic is back to normal. We're quite happy with the repairs being contained within 1 week because we originally expected it to take 2 weeks, but our team was able to find the necessary replacement girders quickly. And that resulted in repair of the bridge within 7 days.
That was faster
I
than
think
forecast.
DOTR is also very happy with the work we did.
Right, but as I understand, Joey, there are still supporting steel poles on the lane still to help with the concrete curing of the bridge?
Those were put there initially to support the bridge while the repairs were ongoing, but those have since been removed, and all lanes are now open.
Right, so what about those toll fees at the affected Balintawak to Marilao segment? Have those already been restored?
Yes, they were restored. We actually started the normal operations at around the start of March 27.
Now, looking more broadly, as you take on the mantle of MPTC chief, what are your top priorities?
Well, first, congestion, especially the toll plaza, and we're instituting a camera system that will assist the RFID so that when it's taking long to clear cars through the RFID, the cameras will use the license plates and the barriers are allowed to open faster. Okay, that's my first concern. Secondly, we have some roads to finish. The connector road has about 2 more kilometers to be completed, and that will open up another option to the Skyway coming from the north all the way to the central part of Manila. We also have some access roads to build in Cebu to complement the bridge. And finally, I think we need to reduce our debt. So we're looking forward to an IPO sometime in the future.
Right, let me pick up on that because the markets are really waiting for the Tollway IPO, and that will be the first in the Philippines. What sort of a timeline are you looking at?
Well, it's going to probably take it a little more, maybe the earliest will be a year from now. Preparations are ongoing. As I said, we're completing the connector road. We're building the Cebu access to the airport to facilitate traffic. We have to complete Calax. We're at, I think, 95% completion in Calax. And once Calax opens, that opens the entire Cavite side of the city to either going to Manila through the SLEX, as they're doing today, or through Cavitex, because the Calax will connect both roads. So it'll be much more convenient for the residents and businesses in Cavite.
Right, and that takes away the problem of congestion, and really what people want to see is seamless travel. You know, some people have been wanting to see an integration of the payment system of the major tollway operators. What are the main challenges in achieving this, and how close is MPTC to seeing this as reality?
Well, it's been done in other countries. For example, in Hong Kong, the various transport providers are co-shareholders in the clearing system for a integrated payment system. And we could follow that example for the Philippines, and for example, the toll roads of San Miguel and Metro Pacific could be cleared through, say, DEEP or the same system that's being used for the trains, because in the trains, you have 3 different lines that are all integrated in their payment system. So toll roads could, for example, fold into that system. So you can now use your card either for the toll roads or for train passengers if you choose to take the train.
A lot of deliverables up ahead there. Joey, thank you so much for joining us and that IPO. We look forward to it. Joey Lim, the President and CEO of Metro Pacific Tollways Corp.
Thank you.
And with generative AI reshaping cybersecurity, what are the key opportunities and challenges in terms of automation, threat detection, and regulatory considerations? I spoke with Ana Marie Pabellon, the country assurance leader at consulting firm Deloitte Philippines, and Mafi Karingal, managing director, security lead at Accenture. And I asked them about what should the public understand about being safe in an era of generative AI.
Generative AI is like a two-edged sword because there's a lot of opportunities that you could do with generative AI. It could improve the way we do things. It could improve lives as well. It could improve the economy as well. But at the same time, there's another side to it that we don't know yet. What else can it do? And how do we ensure that it does the right things? Because AI right now is it's still growing, and there's a lot of things that we don't know yet in terms of AI and how it will grow and how it will behave. And that's the reason why a lot of governments right now are putting some guardrails like frameworks when developing generative AI solutions. Even companies are somehow putting in some governance policies when their employees are using generative AI. And there are standards that are put in place as well so that companies that are, let's say, using generative AI for customers are doing it safely for customers as well.
At the end of the day, you just need to make sure that you validate every information that are available out there in the media. You verify the source, you make sure that the source is, trustworthy there, because it's all about trust,
Sure.
right? Trust, and to us, trust means, traceability. Right? Can you verify on information?
Ana Marie Pabellon of Deloitte Philippines and Mafi Karingal of Accenture. Catch my interview with them on Thought Leaders in the next month. The In Life Sheroes advocacy and movement has been championing women empowerment for 6 years now, enabling through financial literacy, health and wellness, women-specific solutions, and access to social and business network. For International Women's Month, In Life recently honored its first In Life Sheroes Awards recipients for their courage, commitment, and advocacy. With us now for more is In Life chairperson Nina Aguas. It's so good to see you, Nina. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Cathy. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. It's the 6th In Life Sheroes advocacy and movement, but I see that it's the first In Life Sheroes Awards. So what makes it significant?
It's significant in many ways because we embarked on our own search. We looked deep and wide for candidates or for potential awardees of these awards. And it was a very fruitful and encouraging search. And we were focusing on women that needed a stronger platform, a bigger stage perhaps, and to give them bigger dreams.
It is an interesting roster, inspiring even. Just reading them, the winners that you've selected, from a defender of the voiceless to a digital innovator to a champion of the environment and the underserved. So how did In Life pick and choose in the myriad of the inspiring sheroes?
It was quite challenging for us given the number of nominees that came forward. And we had a panel that really looked into deep, and said, who are they that could exemplify and mirror the things that we want to achieve and deliver a message that is you just keep moving forward, and find that platform that best supports and amplify the Filipino talent. And the bigger impact, the better.
And better as you prepare for 2026, moving on, focusing on our allies, the men who make it happen. So what is significance then of celebrating men this time, supporting women?
No, when we say like when one woman speaks, it strengthens another. When a million women speak, the world or the universe listens. But I think to validate that, this is what it takes for us to really like support the women, it may take a million men supporting women to be able to do that. Then the world will truly listen.
Well, before you go, like you say, when a woman finds her voice, she finds her power. So how have you found your own power?
Well, we're trying to channel it through in Life Sheroes, and we're trying to amplify lives every single day, whether internally among our people, as well as externally through our foundation, for example. So you just have to live it every day, and every day gets practice, you get practiced, and therefore be able to touch the lives of so many others. Because when they hear you speak, they find the strength to speak for themselves. And then more people, more women will find the courage to just do the same.
And we don't stop just because it's March 31st and the end of International Women's Month. Just keep going there. Heroes,
Yes.
the Shiro Heroes. I'm looking forward to that for next year. Thank you so much.
Thank
Nina
you, Cathy.
Aguas, the
Thank
In Life
you.
Executive Chair.
Thank you.
And that is it for Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. Catch us again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. here on One News. We're also streamed live on YouTube and on our Facebook channels. Have a great day ahead.